Well, it's midweek and we're glad to be in your company as we bring you another edition of the show. Thank you so much for being with us from the beginning as we brought you the news headlines and, of course, fellow Ghanaians with Kwekwa Asante. Thanks to Sheila Sechi as well. Now, let's get into the dailies with News Flash. And, of course, there's quite a lot to discuss this morning. And I'm sure you all do know about the Supreme Court admitting 14 more, civil society organizations in challenging the constitutionality of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Well, that has come up for a massive discussion, and we're going to be breaking it down here on News Flash with our guest this morning. Also, let's just quickly take a look at the dailies. A quick look at the dailies and look at how the news items are trending this morning. We begin with the daily graphic, and the banner headline says, VRA NEDCO staff reject privatization. Now, the question about privatization of certain key institutions within our energy sector is coming up once again. And let me read a bit of it. Staff groups of the Volta River Authority, VRA, and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, have rejected a government proposal to introduce private sector participation into the distribution of power in the Northern Territory. Now, they said the arrangement would transfer complete operational control to private entities while ignoring the structural challenges peculiar to NEDCO's mandate. Now, this is one that also needs, extensive discussions here on the show as well, and that's one thing we surely are going to do. The mining sector delivers over 2 billion cedis in royalties. Justina Nelson, who is the CEO of the Mineral Income Investment Fund, is on that story here. Images on that story as well. Now, the Supreme Court permits CSOs to join suit challenging OSP. That story is on page 13 of the Daily Graphic. And also, Accra Fireside Dialogue, expert diplomats discuss structural barriers to Africa's global influence. Now, on the back page, the Black Stars are in focus. Remember, we've got only 22 days to go for the FIFA World Cup. Everybody is looking forward to seeing how well Ghana will perform. Now, Morris Kwanzaa has put together a feature on the back page of the of the Daily Graphic. It says, Black Stars need belief and not rebuilding. This is according to Roger Desar, who is one of the assistant coaches of the Black Stars team. All right, so the Daily Gist newspaper says Asante Achim North MP breaks silence and denies romance scam. Now, that story is on page 3 of the Daily Gist newspaper. Now, the detained Asante Achim North Member of Parliament, Ohene Kwame Frimpong, has for the first time publicly responded to growing international controversy surrounding his arrest in Amsterdam, insisting that he's innocent and denying widespread allegations linking him to massive romance, fraud, operations, and a multi-million-dollar scam network as well. Now, the Mbato legislator, popularly known as OK Frimpong, broke his silence from detention in Netherlands during a conversation with outspoken Ghanaian broadcaster and musician Black Rasta, parts of which were later aired on radio and widely circulated on social media. All right, so the conversation is ongoing. Remember, one of the key principles of the law is that he is innocent until proven guilty. Now, a court of competent jurisdiction must sit on this particular matter and establish all of the allegations that have been made against him. From the operations of these state security agencies, we sure do know that quite a bit in terms of investigations have gone on. And of course, if you consider previous cases that have happened, of course, that one involving Abu Trika, where we're realizing based on the happenings in court that not all the allegations leveled against him are, have fact. Would have to wait and hold it on with the analysis until a court of competent jurisdiction handles this matter. Of course, it also has to do with parliament, issues of immunity and all of that. But of course, in this particular case, it's a little varied. So would be throwing focus on it and monitoring the situation with Ohene Kwame Frimpong, who is the Member of Parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency. Now, the New Finder newspaper has a financial story on the front page. Current account surplus reaches 652 million. That's according to the Bank of Ghana. And there's a story here that is also celebrating MTN at 30 years of service in Ghana. That's surely a very interesting story when it comes to the mobile telephony service in Ghana. MTN sure has established itself as, a market leader as well, having the greater percentage of the market share. Now, to unlock $276 billion in intra-African trade. The African Continental Free Trade Area is exploring all of the possibilities, intra-trade-wise, trading between African countries, so that this potential of huge base in terms of capital and in terms of revenue will be realized. 276 billion is quite substantial, but there are those who also argue that this is not exactly, it's not exactly big when it comes to figures where a whole continent of about 53 nations plus is involved. And so that is also one to be discussed greatly. So would also be making time to throw focus on the African Continental Free Trade Area, all of the opportunities that, that are available, and also which specific parts of the African continent will require a lot of massive trade and in which specific areas. Now, the Inside newspaper says Kwesi Pratt calls for global reset to correct historical injustices amid demands for reparation. Now, veteran journalist and Pan-Africanist Kwesi Pratt Jr. has called for radical restructuring of global systems, arguing that reparative justice for Africa must go beyond financial compensation and instead focus on resetting global institutions to achieve equity and justice. Now, Supreme Court clears CSOs to join suit challenging the OSP's prosecutorial powers. That's another story here on the Inside newspaper. Now, FK Company defends massive demolition at Domiabra and insists that the Gasouth Municipal Assembly is very much aware. All right. In some international news as well, on the front page of the Inside newspaper, Trump in Beijing, the twilight of Western hegemony and the brutal return of history. That is another story on the front page of the Inside newspaper. Now, the Ghanaian Publisher is the last paper we'll be reviewing now. NPP petitions diplomats over political persecutions, and that story is on page 2 of the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. Now, the New Patriotic Party has formally petitioned Ghana's diplomatic community, raising alarm at what it describes as growing and deeply troubling assault on democratic governance and constitutional liberties, as well as political pluralism under the administration of President John Mahama. In a petition, the opposition party alleges widening patterns of state-sponsored political persecution, criminalization of dissent, and selective justice, and increasing intimidation of critics, including the opposition, politicians, journalists, and social media commentators. Okay, that's the story right there on the second page of the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. Now, a former Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Mreku Duka, has told the court that Chairman Woon, to me as he's all popularly known, was not assigned any mineral rights. It's the ongoing case involving the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Now, Apostle Kwejo Safo, the leader and founder of the Christo Asafo Mission in Ghana, agriculturalist and industrialist, will be laid to rest on the 30th of July. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, is urging renewed anti-corruption drive at the APNAC meeting as well. And Arsenal have won the English Premier League after 22 years. Now, 22 years, just in case you don't know, is the lifetime of... it's a full lifetime of certain individuals. So 22 years is quite substantial. And last night, after the result in Manchester City's game, it became a done deal for Arsenal as they look forward to the big final in Budapest against the defending champions, Paris Saint-Germain. And that sure is going to be a very, very, very interesting game. And so congratulations to the Gunners family. It has been a very, very long wait. And from a very big Ghanaian perspective, the only sad thing for me is that Thomas Partey should have been in there, looking at the contributions he put in, especially in the last couple of seasons, before his contract came to an end and was not renewed. So congratulations to the Arsenal family. So joining us this morning for the conversations as we look very critically at the Supreme Court admitting 14 civil society organizations to join the case challenging the constitutionality of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, as well as the New Patriotic Party petitioning the diplomatic community about what they allege is political persecution. Aryee Akufo, he is a member of the New Patriotic Party Communications Team. And of course, I like your shirt. All your party members will be very happy with you this morning, Andy.
I understand.
Of course, Thomas Aryee is a member of the NDC Comms Team, and Richard Suma is the Deputy General Secretary of the United Party. Gentlemen, good to have you here in the studio.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good to see
thank you.
Good to
Pleasure
see
to be here.
Very well. Is any Arsenal supporter here, by the way? No.
No.
No. Okay. Where does your allegiance lie?
Especially apart from House of Folk.
Thank you very much.
That's all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Apart from House of Folk, that's all.
Okay, what about you?
United.
United. Oh, United need to say Afina, you know. Oh, goodness. Accra Hearts of Oak is the oldest, club football tradition in this country.
Sure.
And, we'll see how things go. The battle is still on for the Premier League title. So, I mean, right now it's gone. So next year we'll see how it goes.
To come back.
All right, gentlemen, let's begin with the Supreme Court, admitting 14 civil society organizations. And very quickly, I'd just like to bring everybody up to speed regarding, the kind of power that has been given to the office, so the Office of the Attorney General under the Constitution of Ghana. Now, it is captured in Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, which is the, supreme area of law when it comes to our beloved nation, Ghana. Now, there are key provisions or key suggestions within that law, and one of them talks about the Attorney General of Ghana, who shall be a Minister of State and principal legal advisor to government. Also, the Attorney General shall perform legal duties assigned by the President, imposed by the Constitution and any other law. The AG is responsible for initiating and conducting all criminal prosecutions, okay? The AG is responsible for initiating and conducting all criminal prosecutions. Now, criminal offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic must be done by the Attorney General or a person authorized by him or her. The Attorney General is also responsible for all civil cases involving the state and civil proceedings the state must be brought against the Attorney Generals as a defendant. And the AG also, by the provisions of Article 88, has audience with all the courts under the judicial system of Ghana. Now, there's this constitutional debate about, Article 88 itself. And so the Office of the Special Prosecutor is formed by, the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act of 2017, Act 959. And, the constitutional basis of all of this debate is that the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor of government and is, like I've said, is the main body that takes all prosecutions or all suing on behalf of government as a body. Now, the arguments against, the arguments supporting, beg your pardon, is that Parliament has the power to create all of these specialized institutions. And the Constitution of Ghana empowers, the House of Legislature, which is Parliament, the Parliament of Ghana, to create all of these institutions. Also, the OSP operates under Article 88(4) of the 1992 Constitution. And it says, and I read, subject to Clause 4 of Article 88 of the Constitution, the office shall be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct prosecutions. I'm sure that those who are arguing for are relying very, very heavily on the provisions of Article 88(4). Now, those who are arguing, for as well, say that the independence of the OSP's office is functional and not absolute, meaning that there is some space for, suppressing or, for want of a better word, exercising bigger power. All right. Now, in terms of those who are arguing against, obviously, some of the key points that they're raising are the exclusive prosecutorial authority of the AG's office, and they draw that strength from Article 88.3 and Article 88.4. Now, delegation is not supposed to be a transfer of power, okay? So clearly, the OSP's office has a certain level of delegation so they can prosecute, but that doesn't mean that all of the powers have been conferred on the office of the special prosecutor. Now, since it was established, the office of the special prosecutor has had major challenges. I mean, from the era of the Honorable Martin Amidu up till now, we've seen certain key milestones being when Martin Amidu came out very well to talk about issues of setting up the office properly, getting properly resourced and all of that. Well, he said goodbye to that position, and now the mantle fell on Kisi Jabing. He's a seasoned law lecturer, a private practitioner, and also, a specialist in criminal law. But once again, he grants a news conference and talks about the same things. So as a nation and as a state, where is the commitment towards the OSP's office? And those are the foundations based on which we'll be having our arguments this morning. Gentlemen, good to have you. Let's begin with you, Richard. As many as 14, civil society organizations have been given the opportunity to join this suit. Now, when you count the number 14, it just tells you then that, well, this case against the OSP probably has a lot of merit.
Yeah. First of all, let me use this your noble platform to extend good morning to all the entire membership of the United Party, our founder and leader, Alan Kojesh Mantain, and to all the people of Ho Central constituency, and to my fellow panelists that I share this noble platform with them this morning. Well, you see, this conversation about the office of the special prosecutor, the act that established it, the constitution, the purpose or the intent and purpose behind the establishment of the office of the special prosecutor was to combat a certain systemic failure, which is corruption. And we've not been able to combat corruption since perhaps we started this Fourth Republic. Let us put all the other republics aside, the military leadership aside, put everything aside and zero in on the Fourth Republic. You understand that ever since we started the Fourth Republic, constitutionally, we have been doing well. We've been able to hold the fort. All the three arms of government, they have been operating as we all assume to be independence of all these three arms of government. But we all admit that most cases, they are actually not independent. Because the judiciary may say they are independent, but they are not that really independent, because it is the executive that appoints who heads the judiciary in the first place. Even when it comes to the legislature, who heads the legislative arm of government, which is the Speaker of Parliament, that one too, the President appoints and members of Parliament vote upon it. So you ask yourself, where is the independence of these various three arms of government? It has never been in existence, but we've just been hoodwinking ourselves that it exists, but in practice, it never existed. So now, this issue of OSP, there is no ambiguity in it. There is never an ambiguity in it, because if you all say the Constitution is sui generis, it is the supreme document of the land. Every other law, every other agency, every other thing must emanate from the Constitution. And if the Constitution, like we read, explicitly states in 8.4 that all prosecutorial powers has to be done by the office of the attorney, that he initiates and he follows the processes to bring the issue to its finality. So now, if the Supreme Court today is admitting 14 CSOs to join the suit, I think it is in the right direction. Because you see, it opens up the conversation for every side to be heard. But the likes of us from UP, we've always maintained that this office of the special prosecutor has never achieved its intent and purpose in the first place. So why do we even still maintain it? We are of the view that if you have a Caesar, a person who can be elected, not appointed, to become the head of fighting corruption, then that one we can talk about independence of that Caesar. But if the office of the special prosecutor is also based on appointment, how do we have an independent body that can combat corruption?
All right, you've raised a very important point, and you talk about elections. Now, the issue of elections also has a very, very big, risk that I foresee immediately ahead of time. If that were the hypothetical situation, the coloration of the process, and that I would blame all of you, because the political parties are always responsible for coloring these electoral processes. We know how it goes in tertiary institutions, for instance.
You see, Ghana, like I always say, that we are quick to know the problem, but we are not quick to provide the solution. Because you see, we've all admitted that yes, political coloring will be there, but we are still advocating that we should elect assembly members. Isn't that the case? If we know vividly well that we are going to politicize, then why are we advocating that it can be a panacea to some of the things that is happening at the local government architecture system, where we believe that everything must come from the local assembly through to what? The central government. But now we've come to the realization that...
Before you go on, Richard, have you also, I'd want to put this directly to you.
Put it to
have
me.
you also noticed that trend? I don't want you to admit to it. I mean, have you also noticed that trend in elections? For instance, at the last, election of the Ghana Medical Association, for instance, there was a lot of hue and cry about one of the candidates. He eventually didn't win, but then a lot of commentary around, the coloration of, or the color scheme in his poster, which might have, I'm not in that space, so I wouldn't know.
My point of the argument is that in as much as there could be political coloration, sovereignty lies with the people. Isn't that the case?
Yes.
So if we, the people whose sovereignty lies in us, decide to elect who should head an agency mandated to fight corruption head on, even if there are political underpinning factors, we will still admit to the fact that we elected that individual and gave him that mandate. Therefore, we can support him true and true. But if somebody sitting at the Jubilee House, the one who appoints that person, and in many instances, the people go to parliamentary vetting processes, and they are always at all point in time passed through the system. So what is the guarantee? So we are still of the view that it should be an electable office if we still want to maintain it. Because if we don't maintain it, it's based strictly on appointment, we are never going to achieve anything. So this issue of whether the OSP has the prosecutorial power, even a level 100 student at any law school understands that that is not the case. Prosecutorial power is vested in the Attorney General as stated by the Constitution. So if today there are people who are challenging that constitutional mandate of OSP to prosecute without a fiat by Attorney General, then in that case, they are right. But as a matter of fact, we shouldn't be wasting too much time on this legal conversation. It has gone to the Supreme Court. They have been mandated, they have the jurisdiction to interpret all other aspects of the law. But don't forget, in Ghana, we are not practicing parliamentary supremacy. We are not practicing parliamentary supremacy like the UK, where they say that when the Parliament of UK passes the law, not even the court can question the validity of it. But in Ghana, when Parliament passes a law, the judiciary still have the mandate to question the legality of such law. So it is that is brought to the table for conversation now. So let us allow the Supreme Court to do the interpretation. But some of us will be extremely surprised if it turns the other way around, that look, they should prosecute. If they should prosecute, then we should go back to amend the act and make it look explicit that, look, prosecutorial power has been taken from Attorney General. It has been vested in the office of the special prosecutor. Therefore, they have that mandate to do what? To prosecute without the Attorney General. Then that one is to solve all these ambiguities surrounding this office of the special prosecutor.
All right, Andy, Richard says that, he feels that we have to look at the model, okay? The legal model of getting people appointed to the office of the special prosecutor. Now, it began under your party's administration.
Yes.
Now, here we are.
This issue is basically about authorization. What we are seeking to address now is authorization. And then I always see that even our government, under President Akufo-Addo, who appointed the former AG, Martin Amidu, the former OSP, Martin Amidu, came back and made certain statements about President Akufo-Addo. yet under him, we didn't say that we should now go back and say that, okay, we didn't give authorization to OSP, and so we should go to court and then make clarifications or seek clarifications on all these matters. Now, looking at the issues with the CSOs, it started at a point, I mean, when this issue even started at the court, the OSP himself filed, he wanted to be a part of the case. So there's this term called joined off parties. So he wanted to be a part of it. So after applying to be a part of it, Supreme Court says that the AG opposed, and then the Supreme Court approved of it. The reason was that they felt that if OSP is part of the case, or if he is not part of the case, it will not be efficiently or effectively determined. He being part of it, it will not change anything. That is according to the court. And so that was the reason why they decided to say that, okay, you cannot be a part of it. Fair enough. Now with the CSOs, I will always say that, I mean, they applied amicus curiae, in simple terms, a friend of the court. So they want to be a friend of the court, aiding the court in the process, I mean, bringing out researchers and all of that to help the process. And personally, I think that of all the things that I've seen the CSOs doing, fighting against corruptions, good governance, and all of that, my view has always been that I am sure, and I'm hopeful, especially looking at the people that are involved, Franklin Kujo, Kofi Bentel, Wright Simmons, and the rest, I am hopeful that they would aid the court in a way for us to understand that we still need the OSP office, and then we don't need to seek, I mean, assuming say, an appointee of this government, there's a corruption or corruption-related issues at an appointee's office. And then you go to OSP to investigate the issue, and OSP has to now come back to Attorney General, who was appointed by the same government, to come and then seek authorization to prosecute or go ahead with this matter. I think that is a bit of an issue. And then my view has always been that anybody who is against anti-corruption is against the state. And so if we really want to fight corruption, let's allow, how many people can even walk to AG's office to make a case on or to report a case of corruption or corruption-related activities? But anybody can walk to the OSP office. So if you have a problem with the office or you have a problem with the person, probably you can do whatever you want to do to change the person. But we need that office because really, so me, I'm hopeful that the CSOs are going to do this in favor of the OSP. If it's otherwise, I'll be very much surprised because I've seen these people speaking about how relevant the office should be. And they've been speaking about anti-corruption and all of that. So in my view, I think that we need the office. And then upon the establishment, because it's under a court of competent jurisdiction, I don't want to go much about my view on it because at the end of the day, we are all looking up into seeing the verdict of the Supreme Court. However, I think that we should allow the OSP to work. He doesn't need to seek authorization because if you read it very well, it says that, okay, now you need authorization from the OSP. And then upon the establishment of the OSP Act itself, it has already been given authorization upon the establishment. That is my view. And so with me, I think that we should allow the OSP to work. And if they have problems or if they have issues with the person in there, they can do whatever they want. But even President Akufo-Addo, who brought the office of the special prosecutor, at the end of the day, he appointed someone, and the person came back to say all these statements against this president, and he was tolerant. And so in my view, they should allow the OSP to work and leave seeking authorization whatsoever, because if you want to leave all these powers to the Attorney General, if I have my brother here as an appointee, and then I think that there are issues going on in his sector, and I want to take it to the Attorney General, because he's an appointee, they could actually delay the process and all of that. So in my view, let's allow the OSP to work.
Thomas, we're seeing a certain trend, and this is in the early years of the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and that is appointees of that particular office coming out to, to vent their frustrations about having the ease and having the peace of mind to conduct their everyday work. We have seen this current, OSP do same. What would you say to anybody who questions the commitment of the state, the whole nation itself, to this particular exercise of maintaining the office of the special prosecutor, which is there to combat corruption?
Good morning, and good morning to my brother, my brothers. Good morning to our viewers. You see, this whole issue of challenging the office of the OSP and its mandates is not about anybody's interest, especially under this government. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has pledged and has repeatedly said that under his administration, anybody, any individual who is involved in corrupt activities will be dealt with. And for about 1 year, 6 months, and we've not even heard about any corruption or corruption-related offenses under this administration. That speaks a lot. And just previous years, we even lost count of corruption and corruption-related activities. This is about Constitution. And when you read our 1992 Constitution, which is the mother of law of this land, which states Article 1, I think Clause 2, clearly states that any provision, any law, whatever it is, I think you have the Constitution.
That is inconsistent with the provisions.
Yes, any provision which is not in consistency with the 1992 Constitution, which is the mother of our law or of our legal frame, that Constitution, that provision, that law is valid. So, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when people started raising these points that the OSP has done this, OSP has done that, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama came out clearly, said, let's leave him to work. But yet...
So let me just quickly go through it.
Okay.
Article 1.2 of the 1992 Constitution reads, and I quote, "This Constitution shall be the supreme law of Ghana, and any other law found to be inconsistent with any provision of this Constitution shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be void."
Yeah.
Unquote.
Good.
Right.
So it is clear. And Article 88, as my brother said, it's really inconsistency with the 1992 Constitution, unlike the Act of the OSP. So it's clearly a matter, and which lies in the bosom of the Supreme Court. But you see, we have a lot of institutions to deal with corruption. Look, those who brought the office of the, Special Prosecutor's Office under the administration, we even lost count of corruption activities. We saw how fertilizers got lost under the administration. We saw how maize and all those, the contracts were affiliated under the administration. Just yesterday, I was listening to the PIAC report of the Parliament, with the Ministry of Sports. About 45.8 million Ghana cedis cannot be accounted for. You see, so those who brought even the office of the Special Prosecutors Act or whatever it is, they have not been accountable enough to Ghanaians. So I'm very happy because we all say that the Supreme Court is there for interpretation of the law. So it lies in the bosom of the Supreme Court to interpret Article 88 for us that prosecutorial powers lies in the arms of the Attorney General or not. If not, it is the Supreme Court that will give directive on what to be done. But since Article 1 also says that any law or any provision which is not in consistency with the 1992 Constitution, that means that law or that provision is valid. So, you see, and this act of the OSP cannot stand against our 1992 Constitution. This is clear. This is clear. It is about willingness to fight corruption. That is the case. It's about willingness to fight corruption. If the leader leading this country is not willing to fight corruption, and under his administration, there are a lot of corruption cases and corruption-related cases. We were here when people were grabbing land here and there, just like granules, under the office of the Special Prosecutor. What happened to this Galamsey issue where people were caught on video and audio? Later, they went to contest for parliamentary positions. You see, so it's about willingness of the leader, of the president, to fight corruption, and not about the laws or the institutions that we build. We have a lot of institutions, but what do we see at the end of the day? Listening to this Public Account Committee, when you listen to what some institutions are doing and how some institutions are there, and monies have been spent without documentation under the previous administration, you will cry. Look, Ghana is suffering, and we are where we are because of corruption. Because monies which could be used for hospitals, monies which could be used to complete Agenda 111, which over 35 million Agenda 11 contracts were awarded to contractors without any work done. If we are not wicked under the previous administration, what else are we? Look, I believe the Supreme Court will come out with a clear guidelines, and I'm happy that the 14 CSOs have joined this cry, and I hope that Ghanaians will have the best as we've always had. If not for the previous administration, the first, OSP came out to say that we have a leader who was mother serpent of corruption. And under that institution, OSP's institution, look, we had Ken Oforiatta. Didn't we have OSP when he was leaving this country? We had. Yet under his administration, do you remember the Wache Party? Where they went to take loan, and because they had the loan, they organized Wache Party. So it's very sad. We are crying and we are where we are. We don't have better roads. We don't have better hospitals. We are crying because of corruption. So if there are laws that will deal with corruption and corruption-related offenses, let's be clear on that law. Look, if we are not clear on this law and this provision, tomorrow another citizen might also rise against the same thing. But if the OSP comes out, then say that, okay, this provision is against the Article 88, as we are saying, and Article 1 also says that any law or any provision which is in contrary is valid, then this provision is valid. If it says that, okay, let's strengthen it, let's add this, we can all come together and do that. But look, my point is, corruption has destroyed this country than cancer.
Well, interesting thoughts there. We'll come to that, but let's just have a fair idea of the CSOs who have come together to join this particular suit. So there's Transparency International Ghana, the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, Imani Africa, Democracy Hub, Star Ghana Foundation, NORSAC, Pemplus Bites, ASEP, Odikro, Arocha Ghana, Parliamentary Network Africa, the One Movement, and the Africa Education Walk. So they've been given 14 days to file their process in court. Richard, you wanted to...
Yes, I wanted to just make a quick suggestion or input. You see, we are all looking at how to win the war against corruption. Isn't that the case? And there is a problem. And the problem is that the burden of proof in our corruption or our legal system, the burden of proof, which mostly lies on the accused, but not it lies on the accused to be able to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that whatever I'm being accused of, I got it legitimately. But if it is the other way around, where we are always asking the state to prove the guilt of someone who has been accused in a huge corruption cases, that is the reason why we are not going to win any war against corruption in this country. What happens to the Madam Cecilia Dapaah case? There were quantum of money, stash of money found in someone's home. Money that nobody can say that was through corrupt activities. But the issue went to court. Isn't that the case? Now the burden lies on the Attorney General to prove beyond reasonable doubt that yes, Madam Cecilia Dapaah got that money through ill means. Because the state, as we speak today, hasn't been able to prove that case against Madam Cecilia Dapaah. What is the status of that case as we speak today? The case was with OSP. OSP then now referred the case to what? IOCO. That it is not under their mandate to look into such issues. So the ambiguity, okay, that surrounds all the institutions and all the legal systems and architecture that we have placed to be able to win the war against corruption, it is not synchronized. There is no synergy. So there is no way we can win any war against corruption. Let's stop lying to ourselves. Admit to what my brother said, that for us to win the war against corruption, it must be from the executive. If the executive put mechanisms in place to control all government appointees and all areas of our expenditure, that one we can make headway. He made a case to, what do we call it, PIAC. Now, if you look at OSP don't go and investigate small issues. So these issues of PIAC and therefore, and the OSP doesn't have interest in it. OSP is going for the huge cases, huge assets are involved, huge state resources are involved. And even up to today, since we established that office, how can we measure the performance of that office? What was the KPI that were used to institutionalize that office? Have they been able to deliver on any of those key KPIs? If they have, then we should table that for discussion. If they don't, then let's look at the purpose of that office in itself. Then we should rather empower the Bureau of National Investigation. That is my view. If we cannot set up any legal mechanism to place absolute power in that office to do anything extraordinary, let's empower the Bureau of National Investigation. Then we expand the office of the Attorney General.
Richard, there are those who are making an argument about abuse. And while some of the allegations they make may not have grounds,
yes,
or may not have the evidence, there is always that projection that there's a possibility of abuse, and the use of that office to to pursue personal vendetta, and to some extent sometimes political victimization and all of that. So placing absolute power in the hands of the OSP probably might be dangerous.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be, like I said. You see, the office of the special prosecutor, how well resourced are they? What is their numerical strength in terms of staffing? What exactly have they been given? Because it's input-output. What input have we really given them? How have we insulated them from any political interference? We have not insulated them. So they are exposed to political interference. The same way Martin Amidu, the revered Martin Amidu, who was appointed by the then president, came to tell you that there are a lot of interferences in there. So if Martin Amidu came to say nobody is against fighting corruption, because like my brother said, if you are against the fight against corruption, then you are an enemy of the state within. But the question is that if the revered Martin Amidu, who the then president appointed in order for us to make us believe that he's appointing an opposition person to take over that office to do the needful, was the needful done? Didn't he come to tell you about all the interferences? So how then will such an office succeed? That's what I'm telling you, that you have an investigative arm of government, which is what the Bureau of National Investigation, isn't that their core mandate? They are supposed to investigate every minute allegation that is leveled against anybody in this country. Their findings are supposed to be transmitted to the Attorney General. If there is any element of truth and there is any prima facie case established in any investigation submitted or transferred to the Office of the Attorney General through the Bureau of National Investigation, then they trigger the prosecutor. All the gaps and all these breakages in our fight against corruption, how do we win such a war? You take an issue to Iyoko. Iyoko says it's not within my mandate. You take it to Shiraz. Shiraz says this. You take it to here. This one says that. How and when are we going to synchronize the entire system? How do we synchronize the system? And on top of it, or in criminal case, they tell you, you must prove beyond reasonable what? Doubt. So if you are not able to prove beyond reasonable doubt, how do you secure conviction then?
Okay.
Now, okay, so there are, yes. So I'm expecting that from you.
Okay.
But the key thing here is that, your opponents always points to you that you set up the office, and then you are the same who, for want of a better expression, practically, sabotaging the office and not giving, that space to work and to perform their mandate.
We established the office. Now, on the issues that he raised on corruption, these are allegations. And so let's let it remain as such. I want it to be clear. Now, if you are telling us that, okay, we don't need the office of the special, based on the assertion of the
No. Before you, let's be clear on what you term the allegations. Is it the element, the bit about Martin Amidu? Because he's also talked about Martin Amidu.
Not Martin Amidu. I mean,
and his,
all the things,
all the other ones that he spoke about.
No.
Okay,
so
very well.
What I want to say is that if it happens in that regard, does it mean that every case under OSP should be null and void? So if OSP is handling an issue, and then based on the assertion, we don't need the office, does it mean that every issue or every case that OSP has handled should be null and void? Then I'll come back to one issue. It says that the Office of the Special Prosecutor named the former President John Dramani Mahama as Government Official 1 in the Airbus bribery scandal. However, the OSP cleared him of all corruption, stating there was no evidence he solicited or received bribes or played any improper role in the aircraft. So does it mean that they should be null and void? So if they are telling us that we don't need the office, then they should tell us that, okay, so we should revisit the issue of the Airbus if what OSP said is null and void. What I want them to understand is that, you see, whatever that was good yesterday is supposed to be good today. Whatever was wrong yesterday is supposed to be wrong today. If you are telling us that the OSP office, we should scrap it, we don't need it, how are we going to fight corruption? And you are telling us that we should invest in state, per their assertion. It even means that if Yoko wants to prosecute, he still needs prosecutorial powers from the AG.
Of course.
And now the AG was appointed by the president. So if there are issues of an appointee, how then do we go about it? So the truth is, we need an independent office to fight corruption. That was why it was set up under President Akufo-Addo. He appointed Martin Amidu. Martin Amidu made these statements against the president. The president was tolerant. He still allowed him to work. And so for whatever reason, they want the office of the OSP out. I have a problem with it. And I mean, personally, I think that what is wrong if we have a special...
I think that the bit about the former president being tolerant is also one we need to look at. Tolerant in the sense that he was just accepting everything that came from the Honorable Martin Amidu at the time, or there were key issues there that were raised that needed to be clarified. Because you see, this is an institution that was set up by his government, and you know the issues around corruption. I mean, the element of corruption which the OSP's office is supposed to fight is one that nobody should play with. So maybe the reaction that was being that was expected from President Akufo-Addo was not what we saw.
For example, he made a statement that President Akufo-Addo was the mother serpent of all corruption. Martin Amidu made those statements. President Akufo-Addo appointed him to be the OSP. President Akufo-Addo did not come back at him on that issue because he's allowed you to work. Even though he might have had his own reservations about some of the comments, he still allowed the office to operate. And so that is what I want them to understand.
So for you, the NPP has been tolerant of the office and everything that has come from there.
Right. We've been tolerant with this example. And to me, you might have a personal issues with the person, but let's allow the office to work. Because the reality is that we all want to fight corruption. And you look at all the cases going to, imagine all cases have to go to Attorney General for authorization. How are we going to handle all these cases? That is why we need an independent body who would also serve as a checks and balance on the government appointees. And so I was asking the question.
Is that office really independent?
Of course. I mean, it's an independent office. But
he's given us one example which gives...
It's an independent office. Now, I'm even asking, how many people can walk to the office of the Attorney General to report corruption or corruption-related activities against this current government? How many people? But if you allow people, they would even go to the OSP office to make their cases. But if you tell them to go to the Attorney General was appointed by the President. So if a Minister of State, I think that there's corruption going on at a certain ministry, how then do I go to the Attorney General's office? Because I know at the end of the day, he was equally appointed by the President. But if we have an independent office, I can go there and then make a case.
And that is the OSP's office?
That is the OSP office. And then on the issue of they thinking, because it's purely at the Supreme Court, I think that it should be left at that end. We should allow the Supreme Court come out with determination, from my point of view. But with me, I think that we should allow the OSP work.
You see, the fact that, this clearly shows that the office of the OSP was set up to politically hunt political, political appointees or opponents of the previous administration. From what he is saying, nobody has said the office of the OSP should be scrapped. Nobody. What we are saying is that, what I'm saying is that, look, any provision, any law that is not inconsistent with the 1992 Constitution, which is the mother of all laws, that we all agree. That look, if I slap you right now, if you attack me right now, there is no provision that supersedes the 1992 Constitution. on assault. I hope you understand me. So look, nobody is speaking against the office of the OSP. And you see, the fact is clear. Since 1992, since the establishment of the Fourth Republic, there hasn't been any administration that has carelessly run our economy than the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. Is my brother saying that we hear under his administration about 12 million worth of fertilizer disappeared? Pre-mixed fuel disappeared. We were in this country where, what do you call it, 500 excavators were seized. They told us these excavators developed wings and flew away. How can an excavator develop wings? And that is what we are saying, that even under the government that said he was protecting the public purse, they told us they wanted to fight corruption. Compare the 1 year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahamad's administration to the 1 year of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. Just 3 months into Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration, we had the Osafo Mafo's Crow and associate scandal, isn't it? Just 3 months in office under this administration. And even your first OSP officer that you appointed said to Ghanaians, we were all here. I'm not an OSP. I don't work in the office of the OSP. The man said, your administration was like a mother serpent of all corruption, which Ghanaians bear. The fact is out there. When you ask the average truck driver, the average truck driver is today happier under His Excellency John Dramani Mahamad's administration as compared to the 8 years of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. Because look, inflation is moving on well. We were in this country where inflation moved to about 50-something% under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Yet they told us they were protecting the public purse. We were in this country when dollar went high. Today, what is the rate? Yet they told us they were protecting the public purse. Before we realized the public purse itself had disappeared. And these are facts. Look, nobody is calling for the scrapping of the office of the OSP. But what we are saying is that the 1992 Constitution is the mother of all our laws. And per the 1992 Constitution, Article 1, Clause 2, clearly states that whatever law, whatever provision that is being set, whatever it is, if that provision is not consistent with our 1992 Constitution, that provision is null and void. So if the office of the OSP, it lies within the supremacy of the Supreme Court, if really it's not in line with our 1992 Constitution, then the Supreme Court, which I believe in, I will not attack the Supreme Court, and no NDC communicator will attack the Supreme Court. The laws lies within their bosom. Indeed. They will do the right thing.
So Thomas has brought up this, especially this issue of the excavators quite a bit. You might want to respond to that, right? So,
like I'm saying, we've handed power to them. Mm-hmm. They have every right to prosecute whoever or whatever they think that is wrong. Why are they still here?
Oh,
if you think that
we are prosecuting.
Hold on.
So okay, we had examples of those we have even prosecuted.
And then we are doing that. What have you done?
Look,
and I'm saying, imagine all of this.
Are you aware?
You had your time.
Thomas, okay. You should give him.
Imagine all of these allegations you are making here. Assuming all of this has to go through the Attorney General, and there are issues with this current government, how is he going to handle all of these cases? All I am saying is that you are telling us that because the point is you've said a lot of things.
Thomas, let him.
You've said a lot of things here. Oh, this has done excavators. You've been in power for 15 months or so. I mean, 15, 16 months. What has been done? Ask yourself. So all these things that you are saying.
Okay, 1 minute.
What has been done?
Sure. I'll give you.
And my point has always been that we should allow the OSP to work. If you are seeking authorization, if you think that the OSP needs to seek authorization, assuming that I have a problem with the sector minister, and I go to OSP, and after OSP coming out with all the investigations, has to go to Attorney General to seek authorization powers, and then the Attorney General is reluctant on it, where are we going as a country? That is why once we've given him the power to investigate, we should give him the power to prosecute. Just like Yoko, per the Constitution, I mean, in that regard, it means that even with the Yoko, they still have to seek prosecutorial powers from the Attorney General. In my view, I think that it is wrong. However, it is in the bosom of the Supreme Court to make a determination on it. But I want him to understand that everything that he's mentioned in the past government, what have they done about it? And where have they got into?
Very well. So Thomas, there's a direct question to you before we go back to Richard. You know, you've made mention of certain key milestones, if I may put it that way, where we had various cases come up. Now, the question is, what has the NDC government done about all of these? Because they are key within, you know, the whole framework of corruption, alleged corruption, proving it, and making sure that those behind all of these are properly dealt with in accordance with the law.
You see, those asking you what have you done are the same people supporting corruption allegation against the NSS boss, especially Gifty Owari. Those asking you what have you done are the same people defending people like Edubuayin. Look, let me put it out
as
here.
We speak,
Let me put it out clearly here. That one point.
Hold on. I'm just asking a very direct question.
Good.
Okay, so you'd have to tell us, like I said, tell us what it is, key measures that have been taken, because he's put a direct question to you. He says, you know, tell us what it is that the current government has done when it comes to, you know, fighting corruption directly.
As we speak,
all these cases you've made mention
they are in
of,
court.
They've not been determined yet.
Yes, so, but they are in court. Do you agree?
They are in court.
They are in court. And as we speak, about 1.5 billion asset has been frozen through Aura. 1.5 billion individuals that were involved in the corruption related cases.
That is one stage. That is one stage.
Good.
Going to court, prosecuting the case, and having a judge determine the case and pronounce judgment.
These are processes.
Case.
Yes, so these are processes. That's what we are talking about. Yes. That's what I'm telling you. That
so if the matters have not ended, if these cases have not ended, how then do we?
They very sure. As I'm saying, 1.5 billion asset has been frozen through Aura. As I speak to you, 50 million account of Chemawu to me has been frozen. He can't even access his Momo account.
But
as we speak,
he's still in court.
He's still in court.
The court has not said that they are finding him guilty.
So you see, it's better for a government that seems to fight corruption to freeze assets of individuals. You see, individuals that are involved in corruption or corruption-related assets, and retrieve our monies for us. As we said, Operation what? Recover all loot. And as I speak now, as I've mentioned, people's account has been frozen. And
you sound judgmental already.
So, no. It has been done already. That's why I'm saying that. Look, even the Momo account of Chemawu to me is frozen.
But if a Momo account,
not only Momo account, his personal account has been frozen.
Okay, Thomas, look, if okay, so let's use
waiting for the judgment.
Let's use you in a hypothetical situation. I've leveled an allegation against you. We're in court. Your account has been frozen, and then I go around telling everybody that Richard, we've dealt with him because he's guilty. The courts have frozen his account, and so because of that, he's guilty. No, not yet.
We are not saying that. That's as you said.
There
are processes.
There are processes. And we are midway through the processes.
Good. We are midway.
You admit.
Good. So that's excellent.
So then it must. So
that's the willingness. That's the willingness of this administration.
Okay, willingness is one of them.
Good.
But what I'm asking is, he's asking you a direct question. He says there's willingness. Okay. One step has been taken, but we are not at the end of the process yet.
We are not at the end of the process. That's why he asks, what are we doing about the corruption allegations? I'm coming. Please.
So where from the 1.5 billion?
Please, I'm coming. Look, with Aura, that's why I'm saying that we are freezing the account of individuals involved. That is a state.
You made mention of an amount of 1.5 billion.
Please. With Aura, that's what I'm stating, that, look, whatever monies has been stolen under the previous administration, with Aura, Operation Recover All Loot, we have recovered some monies and we have frozen their account, waiting for the judgment through the Supreme Court. So he asked what we have done. That's what I'm saying, that we have frozen 1.5 what do you call it, billion assets under operation. Please. I'm giving the.
It's here. I mean, it's here. So yours supersedes that of the president. President is saying 600 million.
My brother.
You are telling us 1.5 million.
Should we go on this tangent?
But you have to be factual.
All right. Andy, I'll let you respond.
So you accept that.
Hold that on. I'll let you respond.
You accept that monies have been.
But you have to be specific with your figures.
Yes.
That's all he's asking.
Good. Look, that is what he is saying is right. I'm saying that 50 million of Chema Untumi account has been frozen. Look, over 1.5 billion of assets
frozen pending the determination of the case in court.
You haven't added that in court. So as we wait for the determination in court, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, under his administration, has shown willingness. Look, I accept that Ghanaians want prosecution. Because under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration, that is where we saw the ruling, the hardship of a mother serpent of corruption. So I accept the fact that Ghanaians want action now. And look, you see, action is a process. So as you made mention, so
it's a process.
We've moved
this
from
is what
one
I wanted
stage,
to hear you say initially.
We've moved from one stage to another stage. Very
but
soon.
Not at the end.
And these are the same people that will talk about witch hunting. And I always say, if these people have recklessly handled our finances and they are witches, we should hunt them. Because they are the reason why we are suffering.
My last statement on this issue.
Yes. Kindly.
President Mahama backs special prosecutorial powers of the OSP. Is he telling us that the Attorney General didn't advise the president on this issue?
President Mahama has been saying that.
I have it here.
President Mahama
backs prosecutorial powers of the OSP.
Brother is getting.
So I want to understand, because the agency
with my initial comment. Does it mean? I'm coming. With my initial comment.
I asked him to clarify with the. He brought some evidence. So
what I'm saying is that the AG is in court over this issue, and the president says that he backs the prosecutorial powers of the OSP. Does it mean that the Attorney General didn't advise the president on this issue?
Are you asking you? The president always backs every move to fight corruption. Every
and
move. I'm coming. The president backs every move, every action to fight corruption. And look, when we were about 3 months in office, when people
where we've gotten to is that Hold on, gentlemen. He is just telling you at this time that the matter we're discussing at this point, or where we've gotten to, is handing prosecutorial powers to the office of the OSP. Good. And he's pulled out a news item that is suggesting that His Excellency the President is backing that idea.
Good.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That.
Yes.
Look, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will back every action, any possible action to fight corruption. 1. 2. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama does not supersede the 1992 Constitution. The fact that he's a president of the Republic is not greater or bigger than the 1992 Constitution.
So in essence, if he's making a suggestion, is not.
Look, the Attorney General itself does not supersede the 1992 Constitution. And the individuals that went to court, let me tell you that the fact is, it is not Attorney General that went to court. Citizens of this nation went to court for the interpretation of the office of the functions and the prosecutorial of the OSP. And now the 1992 Constitution, Article 88, clearly states that prosecutorial powers lies within the Attorney General. And our Article 1 Clause 2 also states that any provision that is not in consistency with the 1992 Constitution is null and void.
Okay, you've made that point.
So His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is still under the 1992 Constitution. He can make a suggestion. He can brings out his views. I hope you understand me.
Very well.
But his views do not supersede our 1992 Constitution.
Point well made. Richard, I mean, you see a certain back and forth, which is normal of NDC and NPP.
Yeah.
Your party has still not gotten the opportunity to, to be in power. Yeah. So then, this thing of going back and forth on, you did it, you had a lot more corruption than we did, and all of that. it seems to be the order of the day every other time. And at the end of the day, it always makes us move away or step off the rail when it comes to the real issue we're dealing with.
Yeah, you see, it beats my mind when these two major political parties created the illusion that they have been working so hard to win the fight against corruption. When you and I seated on this platform know that we have never for once won any war against corruption, because you see, at every year, the fiscal budget that is presented always comes with a lot of challenges, because you see, any budget we put forward out there as a government or as a country, we are always finding various ingenious ways of making so much money out of the system. We are always trying to milk the system dry. And as I speak today, I am asking any of my brothers here that ever since we started the Fourth Republic and NPP and NDC have been ruling us since then, how many people have we been able to convict for corruption? Those convictions, how has it deterred anybody from venturing into corruption activity again? It has never deterred anybody, because you know why? Of how the political system is of pat my back, I pat your back kind of system. That is what has led us here. So we are always telling Ghanaians that until you change the status quo, until you change these two people and give somebody else the opportunity to govern this country, that is where you can determine whether we are making progress or not. But if you are always going to be looking up to them, then hell no, we are not going to go anywhere. But my last point on this issue about OSP and all this, you see, I always talk about solution. I ask a very classical question. Where is the synergy? Where is the synchronization of all the plethora of agencies we have mandated to fight corruption? Where is the pedestal? What are they standing on to use as the key tool to win the war against corruption? It is non-existent. It doesn't exist. So you can have Office of the Special Prosecutor, a bill that was passed into a law in 2018. The act was passed in what? 2017. The president assented to it, I think, on 3rd of January 2018. Not 2018 to 2026. How many years now? 8 years down the line. We are still here talking about the core function of the OSP. Are we serious as a group of people? 8 years down the line. Why? A bill that we took to Parliament, debated upon the first debate, second debate, went through all the processes, transferred to the president. President assented to it. Are we now going to turn around and talk about the constitutionality of the OSP's office? Is it today that some individual will trigger such a case against the Office of the Special Prosecutor? Where have we been all the past 8 years? You see, we like to go 2 steps forward and take 3 steps backwards too much. So this argument of whether OSP office should be maintained or not, the question that begs for an answer is that since we established it, what has been the result? But for NDC, I can bet my last penny that they are losing the war against the fight against corruption, because you see, a lot of Ghanaians believed in them so much when they were making the hue and cry about ORA, and after they won the election, they constituted an ORA committee and submitted all manner of allegations. But as we speak today, 15 months down the line, they are now holding on to straws like Untumi, holding on to certain straws. We hope and pray that they can get conviction, and conviction should also not be arbitrary, because you want to satisfy the whims and caprices of your party apparatchiks. It must not be arbitrary. It must be based on evidence. If the evidence suggests that yes, Untumi did something untoward, for which reason he should be convicted, either based on punishment, based on incarceration, or whatever it is, let the law take his own course. But don't let us waste too much time on this. I am saying, if you want to win the war against corruption, my brother keep asking who can work to Attorney General's office. It's a public office. Everybody can work there. But the Bureau of National Investigation, what is their core mandate? That is the question that we should be asking. What is their core mandate? What is their core mandate? We heard people some time back, they said there were cocaine found in some containers somewhere in Ghana when NDC took power. They said, oh, there was some analogy behind these containers. I hope you remember that.
Yes.
To date, have you found Aryee? Have we found him? So Ghana and the fight against corruption, nobody will tell me, Richie, we can win the war against corruption with this current architecture of everybody doing what pleases him or her. There is no way we can win any war against corruption.
Well, we're still here on News Flash, and we're tackling issues of the case currently before the Supreme Court of Ghana, where an interpretation is being sought about the prosecutorial powers that remain within the ambit of the Office of the Attorney General, and there are questions about whether the Office of the AG can cede that power to some of these bodies so that it can make their work more effective, for want of a better expression. We're still here on Prime Morning. This is News Flash. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and of course, I've got my guests here with me. We'll get on to our console and have a look at some of the messages that are coming through now. All right, so we'll scroll through some of the messages quickly. Now, this is from Eben in Kwabenya. The NPP should be serious for one, so where would they be to make the country ungovernable? Togo or Benin? They should go and try and see. They should rather waste their time and build the cracks in their party and get more seats in parliament and increase their margin from the 38%. That's my piece of advice for them. Greetings to Honorable Julius Debra and Honorable Peter Kwesi Mensah. Okay. Let's do some more messages now. Take a quick look at some of the messages here. This is Okai from Bantama in the Sine West. It is dangerous when people who claim to defend democracy suddenly become cheerleaders for intimidation and selective justice just because they disagree with a political opinion. Calling on security forces to reset Abronye is not patriotism, is authoritarian. It exposes a disturbing intolerance for free speech and political diversity. If the judge thinks Abronye offended him, the place to challenge it is in court and not through threats and state agencies. Meshaka Sante Namasamang, he says Afenyo Markin should be sanctioned from the legal profession for denigrating the image of the judiciary. He doesn't deserve to be called a lawyer at all, considering his public behavior and utterances. NPP will continue to stay in opposition for a very long time since they haven't learned their lessons. All right, a few more messages and then we go to our next subject for this morning. All right. All right, this one says Ghanaians must speak and resist this oppressor's rule by the super incompetent, clueless, hopeless government of Mahama and NDC on the arrest of Abronye and other NPP members because we are in democracy and not in the dark days of the PNDC-NDC era where innocent Ghanaians were arrested and killed without any trial. Sami Jemfi, Okujeto, Ablakwa, Basintale, etc. said worse things, but Nanado and Baumia didn't arrest any of them. And the good that the NPP, and it is good that the NPP have petitioned the diplomatic community because they want to divert attention on their bad governance with these unnecessary arrests. Okay. Okay, now this message is from Fantastic Wilberforce in Seshwi, Asawinso. Now, it is dishonesty for people who have profited from propaganda, people who have come to power on the back of the deception of the Ghanaian people, that going to IMF defines incompetence. Now we're turning around to say that we should not debate. Didn't Dr. Baumia describe JDM with unprintable words for taking Ghana to the IMF? No matter how beautiful or skillful the hen dances with a style in the kingdom of the hawk, it will never, ever look beautiful in the presence of the hawk. All right. All right, these are some of the messages that are coming through here on News Flash. You can continue to send some more messages and share your thoughts with us as we go through some of the key issues that we're discussing this morning here on Prime Morning. Gentlemen, we want to throw the focus now on the New Patriotic Party, trying to get some support, okay, for what they describe as intimidation and gagging for not getting the opportunity to air views and live within a democratic system because according to what the NPP is saying, the NDC government is not being tolerant of free speech and is putting in measures that are going against the principles of free speech. All right, so I'll begin with you, Andy. I mean, the diplomatic community is being, alerted about this supposed situation?
All right. So I think that, in my view, I support the decision of my party. The reason is simple. Ghana is not an island. When you come to West Africa, we form part of ECOWAS. When you come to Africa, we form part of AU. And when you come to internationally, we form part of UN. And so that is why we have various embassies in the country. And so if I think, you see, the truth is, whenever there's an unrest in a country, it doesn't only affect the citizens of the country. It affects international communities, because these countries have their embassies and then they do business with us. And so for whatever reason, and then my view has always been that when you look at the Christian Council, the Catholic Bishop Conference and the rest, they have been silent on this issue. And it has been going on for quite long. We had Paul Adomotre, Baba Amandu, David, and now Abronye. And so we don't know who is next. And so for whatever reason, we have decided to now draw the attention of international communities so that they can speak to the government, because it looks like we've said this several times and they are not in any better position to take whatever we've been drawing their attentions to. Now, the other thing I would like to discuss is that, assuming that someone had said something against your person, it is a civil matter. And not, that is why President Akufo-Addo, as the Attorney General during President Kufuor's tenure, repealed the criminal libel law. Because, we should be allowed to speak freely. And I always say that anytime you don't have the freedom, it means that if I don't have freedoms, why should there be law? In the first place, if there are no freedoms, then you shouldn't have a law. So I am, as a citizen of the country, I should have my freedom of speech. I should be able to tell my mind. And anytime I speak and you think that is against your person, you can sue me. And it's a civil matter. At best, defamation, and then at best, I pay damages. At best. And so the moment we try to criminalize speeches and the rest, it becomes a problem. And so I was very happy with Lawyer Sampson when he said on Newsfile that the current government has recorded more arrests and abuses of speech legislation in the short period than the entire 8-year tenure of President Akufo-Addo. And I agree with him. And then looking at, I always say that we should, my colleague here and then my senior colleague here should really take a critical look at this issue again. Because you think that today is Abronye, tomorrow it can be you. And so whatever is wrong, we should speak to the issues and then make sure that we don't do it. And then we draw the attention of the international community is to just let them understand that you do business with us. And so if there's an unrest in the country tomorrow, automatically it affects you.
You term it unrest?
What I'm saying is that you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, but what is happening now is not unrest. Unrest.
See, what I am saying today is that little by little, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We all don't know the bigger picture. And so if you start by this, now tomorrow you would have people from the community of Abronye saying that, okay, now we won't do this. There's chaos here. So we should be very careful we don't get to that point. And that is the main reason why we are drawing the attention, so that we don't get there. Because when we get there, it affects every other person who is doing business with the country. And that is the reason why we are drawing the attention of the international communities.
Thomas, now they do the calculation and they're telling you that, in this short period, we have seen a lot of arrests and a lot of detentions of persons for expressing themselves freely.
I thought my brother would mention the number so that we would do the calculations and then see whether you see there is unrest. Seriously, I don't understand the meaning of unrest as he put it.
That's why I asked so we were clear on it.
How clear? How clear?
Well, he's given.
We come here to educate.
Well, yes. So that's why I asked him the question about unrest, because unrest, the use of the term unrest goes to escalate it, okay, and it goes to suggest political unrest. The reason why I asked him about, but now he says it's potential unrest, right? Potential. Okay, so we've moved from unrest to potential unrest.
No, so we don't want to get to that point.
You don't want to get. Okay. You see, normally, sometimes I hate to comment on NPP has done this, NDC has done this, so we'll do it to you. It's unnecessary. It doesn't put food on your table. Does it? Doesn't. When you go and arrest somebody for talking, what will it do to you? It won't affect your daily wages. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama under NDC won't do that. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is not interested in arresting anybody. You came here around. I came with him. He was here even before 7. Am I lying? And you've been speaking for an hour now. Have you been arrested? Is that not free speech?
Maybe freedom of speech is guaranteed, but
no, you see,
freedom after speech
might
not be guaranteed.
You see, we are all seated here. Freedom of speech. We are speaking our mind. We are shaping this country, and that is freedom of speech. So you've forgotten all of a sudden. Citizens of this country were in their studio, just as we were seated here. Just as we were seated here. Individual NPP youth organizers. And I was surprised that we have a whole flag bearer of a political party commenting on this. That clearly gives you an idea of the type of people we are dealing with. These are nation wreckers. We were here. One of the stations, just across the street, people were attacked there because of freedom of speech. Accra FM, if you've forgotten, what do you call it? UTV, October 7th, Saturday, around 9 p.m. 9 p.m. That's when they didn't bring unrest. People died because of the policies of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Today you are talking about unrest. I'm talking about the DDEP. Because they invested their own money. Now you've changed the unrest to potential unrest. If you prove him further, you will use another adjective to classify the unrest. These are the people we are dealing with. Accra FM, they were also in the studio discussing as we are doing now. They were attacked by the same NPP youth organizers. Captain Smart, June 8, 2023, was attacked on his program. You didn't even allow him to finish his program. Look, we have laws, rules, and regulations in this country. So if you speak ill of somebody, that person who kindly invites you to come and explain what you said.
So this is
because look, you have been. It's just a mere invitation.
So Abronya is just a mere.
So look, when you attack Adan Radio in Adan, you went to destroy properties. You went, NPP youth organizers went to destroy properties. What is more unrest than that? These people who you nearly killed all our grandfathers in this country under your administration through your evil policies.
Which evil policies?
Was DDEP a good policy? Was e-levy a good policy? Was COVID levy a good policy? And Ghanaians, we were patient enough for you people to go into an election and lose. And today you are here talking about unrest. If we were talking about unrest, one, political unrest, financial unrest under NPP.
All right, let's go to Richard now.
Yeah.
There's a certain principle of it as well that we may not be looking at, because once again, when you're dealing with NPP, NDC, it's throwing of jabs and trying to recollect milestones and recollect specific events that have happened.
Yeah.
Now, we're also looking at the principle of it. Do we not seem to be going towards a tangent where we hide under free speech and abuse?
Yeah, you see, as a matter of fact, there is always something we call precedent. And precedent simply is to say that it happened in the past, and when it happened in the past, I slapped my brother in the past. When I slapped him, how was it handled? Was I asked to go free? So if the precedent was that, as at the time I slapped him, I was out to go free, why is it that when I slap somebody else today, you are trying to convict me? So you see, like you rightly hit the nail on the head, for NPP, NDC, it is always about retrospection, where one is quick to look backwards and say that, oh, when we had the opportunity and we were in opposition, this is how you treated us. Now that we are in government, when we are also trying to do the needful by trying to control some few excesses, you turn around to say is abuse of power, is witch hunting, is vindictiveness, is this or that. But we live in a country where this is not the first time someone has been arrested before for misdemeanor or for making unguided statements. People have always been arrested. People have always been hauled to the law court before for these same offenses of misdemeanor and attack on public offices or officers. Verbal attack is also against the law. So if we want to go on this tangent of saying that when somebody is going wayward, instead of we bringing the person to order and speaking truth to power and let the person understand that, look, in as much as you are a regional chairman of a party, in as much as we will support you, in as much as you are a citizen of the state, freedom of speech, but don't forget that freedom of speech does not guarantee freedom all the time. It doesn't mean that when you go wayward and you make certain unguided statements, we should allow you to go scot-free. Because don't forget that we have posterity. A generation is coming after us. Is this kind of Ghana we want to bequeath to them? When people, by the virtue of the fact that they sit behind any council and they can spew all manner of rubbish in the name of the fact that I'm a political activist, so I can spew all manner of rubbish and go scot-free, I disagree with that. Because you see, we cannot live in a country that you are getting all your moral fibers broken down completely. And if you get all your moral fibers broken down, then this country is going to become a banana republic in the nearest future, where there will be chaos because people can stand on the fact that because I'm an influential person and a political person, I can go and make any unguided statement and go scot-free. That should not be entertained. But in as much as I will ask that that shouldn't be entertained, we will still have to find a very nice way of dealing with such individuals. Yes, should Abranya be detained on the basis that he may go and spew other rubbish? Therefore, he should be detained in a BNI custody until the determination of his case? Probably no. Because the same law guarantees bail and bail, because you can be on bail while still attending court. So I don't get the argument from the judge to say that if Abranya, because this is not a criminal case, or Abranya is not a flight risk individual, that you can say that if you don't put him in a BI detention, it's a flight risk, therefore he's going to fly out of this country and you are not going to find him to be able to pass judgment. He is not a flight risk. So he should be allowed to be in his home whilst attending court. So I would disagree with the judge as well, even though the judgment lies in his bosom, because judgment by judges are based on discretion. In some of these instances, discretion, because there is no aspect of the law which he is standing on to do so. Because unless there is evidence suggesting that Abranya is a flight risk individual, he must be allowed to be on bail whilst facing prosecution. If found guilty on any of the grounds established in law, then that one, if you are going to give him some punishment, incarcerate him, or give him some fine to pay, that is it. But none of the two divides should be creating the impression that they are better than the other. They are all the same. NPP did the same to NDC. So why is it that today, when the ties have turned, you are crying here and foul that you have been intimidated, for which reason you went to the international community to do what for you? You see, sometimes you go to these international communities, you are making more mockery of yourself. What exactly do you want them to do for you when they knew vividly well you only exited government about 1.5 years ago, and there are similar incidents that happen under your jurisdiction, under your watch? Why? Why should they pay attention to you? Because you are who? You are a New Patriotic Party or what? So New Patriotic Party should give us a break. They should give us a break. Their followers are not better than anybody in this country. They cannot stand on radio and make all manner of unguarded statements and want to walk away with it freely. But nevertheless, let us find a nice way of dealing with our political opponents. If he's wrong, he's wrong. But if he's wrong and he has not taken cutlass to go and kill somebody, he has not poured acid on anybody, he hasn't done anything grievous, why can't you allow him to be in the comfort of his home, even if it is what we call house arrest? Why can't you even give him house arrest and wait until, or you prevent him from getting access to any console? So there's house arrest and there is a police custody. But I would prefer that, since we are all political actors, we are all in a political ecosystem, I would prefer that when a politician makes a certain statement and you think this is just a statement and there is any element of illegality in it, please give them house arrest. Don't be jailing them and putting them in places of discomfort. It doesn't make sense, because we all have a country to run and everybody's role is important. But to the political parties, when you go wrong, speak truth to your people and let them know they have gotten it wrong. And rather than waiting for the person to be spewing nonsense, he said so many things against your own people. For which reason today you are fragmented, your party is broken at the front. You are doing everything humanly possible to mend the bridges, but the bridges are not mending because of some of these unguided utterances that you allow to fester. So I will only want to admonish them that they should not be taking us to the cleaners by running to what international communities for what? For them to do what for you exactly? They should give us a break.
Well, okay, very quick one, yes.
On the issue of the DDEP he mentioned, that is an evil policy. Today, his governor is saying that the DDP exchange program, no matter how painful it was, has set the tone for the economic recovery of the country. And so if he sits here and then see that it was an evil intention, it is what has set the economy as it stands now on its right direction.
Why did you do it?
That's what your
why did you do it?
That's what your governor is saying.
You set out a policy where
can you hold on, let him finish.
Who invested in
let him finish.
So
let him finish.
Your governor, who is the governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, is saying that based on what we did, the DDEP that we did, that is what has set the tone for the economic recovery of the country. No matter how painful
but he's making specific reference to the kind of discomfort and the disappointments.
That's what we're saying, that no matter how painful it is, of which we agree, no matter how painful it is, of which we agree, but he has set the tone for the economic recovery of the country. And that fact should be established. Then again, NPP is not divided. I want him to know we are united more than ever. If Alan had left, I mean, Alan is gone. He should sit where he is. But NPP is not divided. We are united than ever.
You see,
all right.
The problem is, now let me make one example for you. I come here, I have granules, I spill it around, and the floor is dirty. Then I take broom. You ask me to take broom and sweep. I sweep the place. Then I ask you to praise me because I swept the place. This analogy of NPP, I don't understand it. It is very, very sad. If you sit here and say that we should praise you for DDEP, then you are seriously wicked. More than the imagination. What? More than
it is not about you praising us.
Ghanaian.
No, he's admitted. Hold on.
It's not about you praising us.
He has admitted that there was something wrong with it. He said it not to
telling you that
you took us.
It was a painful decision.
We couldn't
even
pay our debt. Look, the whole country was in standstill. Everybody was crying. Look, the economy was collapsed. With that reason, you brought the DEP. People's investments, bonds, people bought bonds, Ghanaians bought bonds. You lock up their funds. And through that, look, one of the old men, what was his name? Karma. He said because of the DDEP, his business has collapsed. People couldn't afford BP drugs. And you sit here and tell us we should praise you because you brought the DDEP. These are the same people who carried an MP in an ambulance to go and pass a law, which is the e-levy. And you implemented those reckless policies, and today you are saying we should praise you because you brought e-levy, you brought DDEP, you brought COVID levy.
Very well.
Are you saying that?
Very well. Let's take the perspective of private legal practitioner and law lecturer Lom Nukwahilija. He has been contributing to various platforms here at the Multimedia Group. Lom, good to see you this morning, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, good to see you too this morning.
Great. We would want to delve into the first issue we're discussing today and look at it from a purely legal perspective. We've been discussing the 14 civil society organizations who have been allowed to join the suit, which is looking at the constitutionality around the OSP's office. Now, what are the key legal issues we have to be looking at here? Because for the ordinary Ghanaian, the key thing here is an office has been set up to battle corruption and to ensure that everybody stays within a certain line in terms of public conduct. But in terms of the power and the authority to get certain things done, it's not there. And there are those who are also arguing that the AG's office has a whole load of cases to deal with, based on which they should cede off some of that power. The other question about power is also that, are we ceding a bit of the power, which is what the Constitution gives, or we're ceding full power to the OSP's office so they can act on their own?
Yeah. Thank you, Nathaniel. Quite a loaded question there. But let's take it from this perspective. First of all, the Supreme Court has been called upon to determine the constitutionality of the office of the prosecutor. Related to that also, the Supreme Court to determine whether indeed the cases that have been done by OSP, assuming that it takes the view that the office itself is unconstitutional, what happens to the various cases as prosecuted and outcomes that have resulted from those cases. And that is presently before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to make a pronouncement on it. And so I'm not going to go into those specific matters. But aligned to that, you note from public discourse and the reportage that it appears that the petitioner in that particular case and the position that Attorney General has also put forward in defense essentially are close in nature or similar in terms of their view of the interpretation of the clauses that have been invoked in the Supreme Court. So what the CSOs have done was to apply to the Supreme Court for leave to be able to join the case as amicus curiae, which simply means that they are joining the case as a friend of the court, which means they are neither the petitioner nor the defendant. However, they believe that they have critical insights which will help the court to reach a determination of the issues before it. And the Supreme Court has granted that application, which means that these 14 CSOs now have the power or the mandate, the ability to file their arguments, which in this case they have already indicated will be in support of the position that the OSP's office is constitutional. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the petitioner and the Attorney General's position or view is contrary to that. And I strongly believe that is the basis on which the Supreme Court allowed the CSOs to join, because then the court will benefit from views from different aspects of this matter, and then it's able to give its decision in accordance with the Constitution. Now, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, as we know. So every enactment, every statutory legislation, every conduct, every act of any person in public office must be in accordance with that Constitution. And so, when the Supreme Court has to make a determination, they are guided only by the Constitution and principles of interpretation of the Constitution vis-a-vis these acts, these statutory legislation or conduct that we have before the court. So the Supreme Court is not moved by public sentiment per se. It's not moved about arguments which are not grounded in the Constitution. Okay. So as to whether the AG's office is overloaded and for which reason there should be another entity to carry some of the load of fraud, it's not a legal question properly before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not concerned about the load and all of those things. The Supreme Court is concerned about what does the Constitution say and what is happening in this case, and whether that act and related statutory legislation so on is in accordance with the Constitution and nothing more.
Now, the bit also about the Office of the Attorney General, how well-resourced it is and how much cushion it has to cushion all of these cases that come up. Is that something that we should even think about in the first place?
Not from the legal perspective, and certainly not in this particular conversation we're having. The reason is because in the same way that, for example, someone could argue that we should resource the Office of Special Prosecutor to support the work of the Attorney General, it's the same way that we can, in a substantive way, provide those resources directly to the Attorney General's office. In this case, the genesis of the whole conversation is the fact that under Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, the power to prosecute is vested in the Attorney General, which means that the Attorney General is responsible for initiating criminal prosecutions in Ghana and seeing them through to the end. Any other institution or body that can do or handle prosecutions is only doing so under the authorization of the Attorney General. So in the same way that any other institution can be resourced and supported to execute that prosecutorial agenda, is the same way in which the Attorney General itself and its office can receive that direct resourcing and support to be able to do it by itself. There's absolutely no reason why the Attorney General's office cannot be resourced to handle all criminal matters in Ghana without the support of any other institution. Like I said, all the other institutions that have played any role in prosecutions over the years have only done so at the instance of the General. You see. So in this case, yes, we should be focusing on the legal dimension for purposes of what the Supreme Court has determined. But when it comes to issues of resourcing or support or building capacity of the Attorney General's office, there's absolutely no bad that happening without the need to create all resource other institutions.
All right. Finally, Lom, the bit also about the law and how fully encompassing it is. I mean, for the ordinary person on the street, this will sound a little technical, but for you, how fully encompassing is Article 88? I do know that obviously at this time, it's being looked at again because of the current situation we find ourselves in. But for you, from a pure legal perspective, how fully encompassing has the law, the Article 88 element been, regarding our jurisprudence in this country?
Okay, so Article 88 is actually a very, if I should say, simple and straightforward provision of the Constitution. It is, as far as criminal matters are concerned, quite clear and very direct in the fact that it is the Attorney General who initiates and institutes criminal proceedings in Ghana. And I think as far as that provision is concerned, there is absolutely no ambiguity. Right. In fact, the case in court currently, whether you are looking from the petitioner's point of view, Attorney General's point of view, or the views that have been expressed by these TSOs, there's absolutely no doubt among these groups and, of course, the wider public and the various conversations that are going on, that Attorney General has that power and Attorney General can exercise that power. The question now is whether in delegating that power to another institution or body, it is proper to do so in the way in which the OSP Act has been passed, and whether in terms of authorization, there is an requirement for specific authorization for each case and for each person or individual who stands as a prosecutor from another institution other than Attorney General. So that is the context of this case and the conversations around it. So as far as the Constitution itself is concerned and the powers of the Attorney General are respected, there is absolutely no limitation, or if I should say, any bar to the Attorney General exercising those powers. The question relates to what other institutions can do in the instance of the Attorney General.
Very well. Thank you so much. We're very grateful to you for the perspective. Lom Nuku-Ahilija is a law lecturer with Yes, of course. Good to have had you too. Thank you so much. Lom Nuku-Ahilija is a law lecturer with the Law School of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, and he's also a private legal practitioner, joining us with that perspective on this particular conversation about the OSP's office and how far they can go regarding exercising their power under the act that establishes them under the Constitution of Ghana. Gentlemen, time not our best friend as always. Let's just wrap up on final thoughts as we go. We look forward to having a final determination on this matter so that we can all move on, you know, in this country.
Well, as a matter of fact, we all want to make progress. We all want to win the fight against corruption. We have a generation to hand over this country to. The steps we take today will determine our future. We live in a country where, up we speak today, there is no one subsector of the Ghanaian economy that we can mention and say for this subsector of the economy we are self-sufficient, we are self-dependent, we are doing things right. In every aspect of our life, we are still doing this back and forth. So we wish them well, and whatever happens, we look forward to the Supreme Court coming out with the determination so that we can nip this also somewhere and then we focus. But my disagreement is that we shouldn't have waited for 8 years for us to be having this debate as to the constitutionality of the OSP as to whether it has the mandate to prosecute or not. We have gone way behind time.
Okay, so I would be waiting to see the outcome of the Supreme Court, especially on two sides. If the Supreme Court should be say that all prosecutorial powers should be handed over to the AG as enshrined in the Constitution and not make a certain provision for the OSP, I would ask a few questions, especially on what has happened to the previous cases that the OSP actually prosecuted and what is going to be the determination of those cases. So let's all wait for the verdict of the Supreme Court and then we can move forward. Thank you.
Thomas?
You see, this is a constitutional battle. It's not about emotions and what happens to any cases. It's about the interpretations of our law. The supreme law of this country is our 1992 Constitution, and the only institution mandated to interpret that law is also the Supreme Court. So, look, I pray the Supreme Court will interpret the Article 88 and the 1-2 for all of us to be okay with it. It's about fighting corruption. Let's all fight against corruption. That's all.
Well, we're very grateful to you, gentlemen, for joining us here. It's been an insightful conversation. Thank you all so much, and we're looking forward to having you a lot more. Only thing is that, you know, the NDC MPP. Hey,
these two people.
No, the only thing is that it's about constitutional matter.
UP is coming.
NPP wants to play on the motions of Ghanaians.
UP is coming. UP is coming. Next week we will be issuing a press release.
Which of the UP?
What is happening? What is happening?
Oh, next week, you know, like I said, we've been able to have all our 16 regional head offices established, fully equipped. Next week, we'll be issuing a press statement, and thereafter, we'll be unveiling them each after the other. But you see,
so the United Party is coming to power in 2028?
No, we mean business. We are a centrist, pragmatic party. We mean business. The left has failed. The right has failed.
Very well.
They've all failed abysmally.
Very well. Richard Suma is the Deputy General Secretary of the United Party, and Thomas Aryee is a member of the NDC's Communications Team, and his opposite, Andy Akufo, a member of the NPP Communications Team. Of course, Richard says he is the centrist and that they are coming to power in the year 2028.
That is NDC Annex.
What are you talking about?
Oh, really?
What are you talking about?
NDC Annex.
Can you say this?
Well.
Hey, but how?